This is Combat365.tv. Like and subscribe for more hard-hitting combat sports content. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Brian Ortega has perfected a particular set of skills to help him climb up the UFC Featherweight ladder, and he's looking to put them to work at UFC 226 on July 7th in Las Vegas, when he faces champion Max Holloway. Combat365.tv takes a deeper look into the rise of Brian Ortega and the path which led him to UFC 226. First of all, let's talk about the nickname. T-City. Where on earth does that come from? Well, before you type it into Google Maps, let me stop you there. It isn't a physical location. In fact, it's much cooler than that. Ortega confirmed that the name was given to him when he was 15 by BJJ legend and coach Hannah Gracie due to his affinity with triangle chokes. From T-City to U County, undefeated is a magic word for Brian Ortega, having amassed an impressive record of 14 wins and 1 no contest in MMA. That no contest dates back to his UFC debut in July 2014, when he fought Mike De La Torre in San Jose. Initially, it was a pitch-perfect start for Ortega, subbing De La Torre with a rear naked choke. However, jubilant beginnings soon faded away, and Ortega's debut victory was overturned after he tested positive for drostanolone. Not only was his win taken away, but T-City was also fined $2,500 and suspended for 9 months. Ortega would make his comeback 11 months later at UFC Fight Night 68, when he fought 25-fight veteran Thiago Tavares, and it was an emphatic third-round TKO for the returning T-City, claiming Fight of the Night honours as well. It's a win which Ortega still reminisces on as one of his greatest. What followed was an incredible run of form, which saw Ortega methodically climb to the featherweight #1 contender spot. The 27-year-old made a pit stop in his old stomping ground, returning to T-City to submit Ultimate Fighter Season 14 winner Diego Brandao at UFC 195 with that famed triangle choke. Ortega built more momentum with a stoppage win over UFC veteran Clay Guida 5 months later, knocking Guida out cold with a knee. With another textbook win in the bag, it looked like T-City was on the verge of expansion. That was until Ortega tore his labrum, which put him on the sidelines for a full year. 2 years of his career gone just like that. 1 for his doping violation and now 1 through injury. Despite a chain of bad luck, Ortega refused to back down from his destiny. Anyone denying his credentials prior to his sabbatical was sure in for a rude awakening when he came back in July 2017. Not 1, not 2, but 3 post-fight bonus honours, including 2 Fight of the Night and 2 Performance of the Night accolades. Brian Ortega was storming through the competition. Most impressively, his 2 most recent wins, which cinched his title opportunity, were over perennial contenders Cub Swanson and Frankie Edgar. T-City put on an elusive striking masterclass against Swanson, evading and frustrating Cub tremendously. Slicker than your average, Ortega worked brilliantly from close range to pull off the jumping guillotine and secure the win in the main event of UFC Fight Night 123. And after his showing at UFC 222, where he knocked out Frankie Edgar, becoming the first man ever to do so, Ortega put the final stamp on his lineal status as the only featherweight fighter worthy of a title shot. So can Ortega turn Sin City into T-City and become the 5th man to hold the UFC Featherweight Championship? On July 7th, we find out. But what do you think? Can Brian Ortega take the championship away from Max Holloway? Let us know in the comment section below. And speaking of Max Holloway, we take a look at his rise to the UFC Featherweight Championship. Click the video on the left to find out more. And don't forget to subscribe to Combat365.tv for more hard-hitting combat sports content.